Добрий день, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Olesia Luciw-Andryjowycz. I am the chair of the gallery committee for the Alberta Council of Ukrainian Arts. Today I would like to walk you through our signature artist series for the month of January 2021. With us today we have the art of Sky Hoffos and Larysa Matchak. So behind me, we have some work of Sky Hoffos. He actually goes by the name of Sky. Sky is an artist and a craftsman with an endless drive to learn and create. His family is of Ukrainian, Scottish, and Norwegian descent, and they've been in Alberta since the early 1900s. As a toddler, Sky was always driven to a fiddle. So actually, in his early years, he learned to play the violin, and he still plays the violin with a band at this time. Sky is also a Ukrainian dancer. He has danced for the last 22 years. As you can see, or you can hear, Sky plays the fiddle, he's a dancer, but he's also an artist. He does geometric art, as well as he does acrylic art. He's a leather works with leather. He works with iron. He does photography. He does a whole slew of things. Sky's abilities as a blacksmith and leather worker stem from his summers as a historical interpreter at the Ukrainian Cultural Heritage Village. He's been a craftsman and demonstrator at many cultural events. His show, along with Larysa Matchak, is called ELEMENT.
Yeah.
So, as you can see, Skylar uses many elements in expressing himself.
Yeah, my name is Sky Hoffos. I'm a painter, sculptor, blacksmith, leatherworker, teacher, dancer. I do basically anything with art. I just love working with my hands and moving with materials. Just anything I can learn, I can't really stop learning and creating. Yeah, this artwork is all very Pesinka based. I love the symbolism of my culture of making pesinke and of rushnike and like shirts and embroidery and everything. And so I wanted to make some paintings that are based very much on the pesinke and on the symbolism. And so these paintings, they're all layered in the same way that you would make a pesinka. You cover up what is white, and then you paint it yellow, and then you cover up what's yellow, and then you paint the next color, layering up and up and up until everything is peeled off and the full painting is revealed, just as you would melt the wax off of a Ukrainian Easter egg and reveal your image. Well, I've been painting my whole life. I went to art school and I'm an art teacher, and I just love working with colors. And so I've been painting forever, really. But this style has kind of been on my head, bouncing back and forth, and I never really started doing these all out until this summer. So just a few months ago, I really started diving into these paintings, and I was doing some stuff that was really textured and visceral with just layering paint and using my hands just to spread paint on the canvas. And then I started doing some stuff where I would cover it up with tape, and then I just kind of exploded into that process and really fell in love with it. And so here I am. All these paintings have been done over the last, 6 months. Ever since I was really young, I always wanted to be a blacksmith. I loved the idea of it, and I loved the hot metal and just the thought of being able to make a sword. And so when I was 16, I started collecting hammers and forge and anvil and everything, but I never really dove in until I started working at the Ukrainian village after my first year of university. So I guess 2012 was the year that I started working with a forge, and I set up my own shop out in the bush on the acreage. And now I eventually have built a full blacksmith shop, and I work with coal, and there's no power, so it's all completely traditional. And so I love making tools, and I love making knives and swords. And I just, blacksmithing is really special to me because when I have an artist block or I'm having a really hard time, I go and I forge a knife, and then I feel good. I just push it all into that blade, and then just moving the metal while it's hot, just like clay, it really amplifies my process and lets me kind of let go of all the stuff that's bogging me down. Leather work I've been doing for a really long time as well. I don't even know when I started leatherworking. I started leatherworking when I joined a Viking group, a reenactment group, and I had to make my own gloves for fighting. And when I made those gloves, it just came so easily to me, and so I just kind of went from there. And I've been making horse tack, and I make belts, bags, wallets, anything out of leather, really, books, and just kind of I keep expanding and learning and making more and more and trying new types of leather and everything that comes along with that. So I've been working with leather for a long time, and I love mixing leather and steel, and now I've been carving bone and carving stone. And just the sculptural aspect of all of that is really amazing. And here you see, my stone carvings, my leather working, some blacksmithing, and you see some photography. And the photography I've been doing since I was, 16 or 17 as well. And I do wedding photography. I do, family shoots and engagement shoots, and I do some stuff based on like nature photography and adventure photography. I do all sorts of stuff based behind the lens, and so anything creative really just comes to me pretty easily. So next, I'm gonna keep amplifying these Pesenka paintings, these Ukrainian paintings I'm really excited about, and I feel like I can go more into detail with them. And since I do use painter's tape for them, it's a lot of straight lines, and I really want to dive into doing things with curves and circles and leaves and flowers. And so these are things that I really want to expand into, push myself to make shapes that are not normal with painter's tape. So I'm really excited to keep working on these Ukrainian paintings. But I also have a whole bunch of interest in runes and Viking rune stones, which I did study for a few years in university. And so carving rune stones is something that's really big for me as well, that I'm really excited to dive more into, and carving bigger and bigger and bigger stones. And you can actually see one of my carved rune stones here too. So a home protection rune that's designed and written in Old Norse runic. So I'm really excited about that, and basically just kind of getting more into sculpture now that I'm spending all my time creating art, because I'm no longer teaching, I'm just subbing right now. So it gives me a lot of time to play with materials. So that's, I guess, something that I'm really excited about right now.
Matchak is our second artist, along with Sky Hoffos, with the ELEMENT Signature Artist Series. Larysa is a school teacher, administrator. She currently is a vice principal within the Edmonton Ukrainian Bilingual Program. She has her master's in education with a minor in fine arts. Larysa also has spent time in her baccalaureate degree doing fine arts courses. Larysa did a 6-week course in Italy studying watercolors. She's also done icone. Larysa uses a lot of her expression in her art. She does acrylic painting and oils. She uses a few different designs. For example, here we have the round canvases. She's also got other canvases as well. She expresses herself through art. She says she is able to experience a euphoric feeling of freedom and contentment when she draws and paints. Larysa has had several different showings throughout Canada. So she has displayed at the ACUA Gallery in Toronto. She's displayed for the Edmonton Art Gallery. She's displayed for the University of Alberta. She's had her art at the Harcroft House Gallery and several other shows throughout the province. So Larysa is well known in the area of Alberta, especially with the Alberta Council of Ukrainian Arts.
Hi, my name is Larysa Matchak, and I am a fine art painter. And my experience started, I would say, early. When I was 18 years old, I was accepted into the Faculty of Fine Arts and Design at the U of A, and I studied fine art there for a while. And I left the Faculty of Design, and I pursued a degree in secondary education. And after my education degree, I returned to art and took a course through the University of Alberta in southern Italy with abstract painter Graham Peacock. And that experience kind of was a catalyst for the work that I do now, and just embracing the fact that I had a calling to be a painter. And so among other things, I am a painter, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm also an educator and an administrator with Edmonton Catholic Schools. But painting and art has been with me longer than some of those other things, and so I'm very happy and proud to be here at ACUA to showcase my kind of new body of work and to talk a little bit about my painting. The vision for the show ELEMENT was basically really inspired by who I am as a Ukrainian Canadian painter, and my work reflects that and illustrates that. So I am of Ukrainian descent. My family is from Halachina and from Bukovina. I'm about third generation Canadian. Я розмовляю по-українськи, мій чоловік з України. Ми виховуємо нашу дочку по-українськи вдома. І дуже багато з цих робіт показують, дають український вплив і канадський. Наприклад, ці квіти, це є мальви, these are hollyhocks, and so a lot of the work here infuses my Ukrainian Canadian heritage. And my baba Antoshka had rows of malve in her backyard that would kind of sway, and as a child I remember looking at them. And so here's sort of like a hyper exaggeration of that image of those flowers. Ці гори, це є наші канадські скелясті гори. Я пластунка, то я мандрувала в горах, і недавно ми з родиною часто їздили в горах на подорожі, and I took a moment to just really appreciate the history and my connection to the mountains. And so these landscapes are represented here. And then the prairie landscapes are very dear to my heart as well, because both sides of my family are farmers, and the farming culture is alive and well in my family. Yet when I visited my relatives in Ukraine, when I visit my husband's relatives in Ukraine, they're also farmers and also connected to the land. So this landscape piece called Prairie Solace can connect to Canadians for the legacy of our prairies. And I have many Ukrainian fans and friends from Ukraine and say, oh, це наше село в Україні. And so those dual images, those bilingual, bicultural images are very much a part of my identity. And you know, we can appreciate Sonia Schnecker, and this is a scene from my memory when I went to observe the Ukrainian elections in Ukraine several years ago, and we drove by the pole with Sonyashnike. And so when I was creating the landscapes, I wanted to highlight this. Yet, if you drive outside of Alberta to where the corn mazes are, you could see this as well. Again, our market, we can plant mak in Alberta, we can have it in Ukraine. But again, it's my work has changed where I'm taking an idea and a concept and I'm sort of exaggerating it. I am making it a little more abstract. I'm also experimenting with the canvas. So 9 of the pieces are on wood, on birch. And when I create work that's on wood, there is another connection to the earth. So, you know, it's an organic medium, and also my work has changed where I'm starting to use different shapes of canvas, like the circle. So an organic shape, an organic texture with the canvas, and then a beautiful sort of organic yet abstract interpretation of the subject. We'll see. Because of COVID-19, many artists have had to be really creative in their marketing. And so I've done a lot of work on my Instagram. I'm very active on there, and I also send out newsletters via my website, and encourage people to take in shows like this, and also work locally with restaurants and cafes in the Edmonton area who have featured my work throughout the pandemic. And I have another show right now at Roots on White. So it's finding those opportunities in unique locations and really celebrating local and being an Albertan and Edmontonian. Those things are exciting for me. I do want to continue working with the round canvas with wood. I've done some pieces on reclaimed wood. I'd like to do more. I'd like to go perhaps even larger scale with some of the landscapes. But again, artists, we're never restricted. We always have the ideas in our mind. What really restricts artists is the popyt, the demand. Хто би це купляв? Мистецтво – це і творчість. Ми ніколи не зупиняємося, коли ми малюємо, ми маємо ці ідеї в голові, але реально це все коштує гроші. І треба знайти шлях, щоб не тільки мати цікаві виставки, але ще здобути наші мрії як художники. So the challenge for artists is, some of it is financial, and you know, our ideas are always there, and we want to push boundaries. That's one of the things that I say in my website, that my artwork pushes boundaries. But yet we can't push those boundaries if, you know, we're restricted by how much a canvas costs or a project could cost. So I'd like to go a little bit larger. So if there are any people that are interested in a larger piece, sometimes that's all it takes, is knowing. Lots of people like smaller things, and I'm always open to creating that as well. But to push yourself as an artist, sometimes trying different things or different sizes is exciting. The series here, the floral pieces, the mountainscapes, and the prairie landscapes will always be a part of my repertoire. But whether or not I start, you know, abstracting them more, or am I going back to a more impressionistic style, I've kind of morphed between the two. I enjoy texture, And if you look at these two pieces, they actually were painted around the same time, within a few weeks of each other, but very different styles. So this is more abstract. There are layers here. The gold leaf, there's the iridescent medium here in this piece as well, and texture, but yet a little more impressionistic, less abstract. And so those are some of the things. Recently I was commissioned to do a large cow piece, and that was challenging. It was interesting, and then I thought maybe I should delve into exploring animals. You know, the ideas never stop. And so what's interesting though is that you may have an idea in your head of an image, and it will change and it will morph as I work on the canvas, as I work with the materials. The landscape may change, or the flowers may change. They may morph into something else. And so it's always exciting being an artist. There are sometimes some constraints, like I mentioned, but I'm doing this to express myself and to provide beauty to the world, to share this with my community, to share it with my children. I have a 4-year-old daughter and I have one on the way, and so it's exciting also in the change of my lifetime and those life stages. I produce different work depending on what's going on in my life, and it kind of is reflected in the canvas. And those elements are seen here. Дякую.
Перепеличенька, дай невеличенька, дай невеличенька, по полю літає, травку прогортає, травку прогортає. Ходження далемо, спадничне зіро, я йду до тебе, ти почуй мікро. Ходження далемо, спадничне зіро, я йду до тебе, ти почуй мікро. Я йду до тебе,